We continue to study Genesis chapter 1, verse 3 to 5. We are on the last verse, which is verse 5. And today is the last day, last Sunday in year 2018. And 2019 is coming. So I hope everybody, let's continue to moving forward to become the children of God, and then bless your family and bless your faithful brethren. So let's keep moving forward to our salvation process. And 2019 will be another blessing year to everybody who has a ear to hear to understand the Bible through the Hebrew text and Greek text. Let's read the Genesis 1:5. And he invite Elohim for the light day, and for the darkness he has invited night. And evening exists, and one day morning exists. And last week we talking about for the light day, for the darkness night. And we are on the study the night today. How do you pronounce the night? 39:15. Laila. Laila. That's the Hebrew word. Laila is the masculine noun. That means twist. Night. So night is the one twisted. Twisted. So we need to untwist it, right? Untwist it. To loose. Make it loose. Right? Make it loose. And then Laila, and it comes from the 3883. How do you pronounce? This one? Lur. Lur. It's a lur. Lur comes from an unused root meaning to fold back. And spider step. Again, spider step is twisted. Right? Twisted. So when the night comes, the night sky is rolled out like a scroll. When the daylight comes, the night sky is rolled up like a scroll. So I have the chart over here. The one-day process, which is Bereshit, right? Bereshit is one-day process that divide by seventh day, right? Mm-hmm. So seventh day is the one-day process. And then we start from the one day, and then the day and light is what status? Imperfect status, right? So leor yom. So for the light, day, and then the for the darkness, night is what status? It's already perfect status, right? Perfect status. And then he rolled 6 times to get to the seventh day, right? To get to the seventh day. So, day by day, as we move forward to the day, what happened to the night? The night is rolled out, right? Rolled out like a scroll. And then, day is getting bigger and bigger, right? So, on the seventh day status, light is only existing, right? Light is only existing. So about the night, it showed the Revelation 6:14, and Revelation 6 is talking about 6 seals. When we think about the book of Revelation, and then I was mentioned book of Revelation is the conclusion of the Bible, right? Mm-hmm. And then Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 through Genesis chapter 2, verse 3, they're talking about 7 days process, right? Which is introduction process. Introductory part called 66 Bible. Okay? So that's the introduction. And then conclusion is the book of Revelation. And book of Revelation consists of 7 seals, 7 trumpet, 7 bowls process, right? So the first trumpet, when you hear the first trumpet, what happened? The first seal is open, right? Seal is open means you have understanding. Understanding what? Verse 4, right? Understanding the light, understanding the darkness. So those whole process is understanding the light, understanding the darkness process. Okay? So, one first trumpet, first seal, right? Once you have understanding, what happened? The bowl, first bowl, right? Which is bowl is like a burn. Burn the what? On the darkness. On the darkness. So that's why the book of Revelation is conclusion. Talking about 7 days process. That comes from Genesis chapter 1 through Genesis chapter 2 verse 3. Then what is the one day? One day. One day that we learn from the Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 through Genesis verse 5, that's the one day process. And then that is talking about Genesis chapter 2 verse 4 through Genesis chapter 5. Talking about first Adams, right? And then second day is day of Noah, which is Genesis chapter 6 through Genesis chapter 11. That's talking about second day process. And then third day. Third day is talking about Abraham, right? Isaac, Jacob. So Genesis chapter 12 through Genesis chapter 15. And then the fourth day. Fourth day is the day of Moses, right? Which is Exodus. Until Exodus. And then Number. And then Deuteronomy, right? Those are the book of fourth day. And talking about the wilderness church, right? And then fifth day is from Joshua to Malachi, which is the last book of Old Testament. And then the sixth day is talking about Christos Jesus. Christos Jesus, right? And then sixth day is talking about Matthew through John. And then seventh day, which is the day of Apostles' Day, right? Talking about Apostle, Act through Judah. And then book of Revelation is conclusion. Those are all talking about whose history? My history. My salvation history. And then they called in the Greek word evangelia, right? Evangelia, connected message. So anybody who is not able to understand the Bible in this way, that means they cannot understand the Bible. Because they are nothing but to understand the Bible as a man's tradition and man's lessons or historical viewpoint. Then Bible still closed the book, right? Night still not rolled out, right? Night is not rolled out. Okay? Which is you don't have a discernment. You don't have understanding. Understanding the light, understanding the darkness. So let's go to Revelation 6:14. 6:14 talking about the sixth seal, which means sixth seal talking about 6 days, right? So sixth seal is opened by hearing the seventh day trumpet. Seventh day trumpet. Let's go there. Book of Revelation 6:14. Start from the 12. I looked when he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as a sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood, and the stars of heaven fell to the earth, as a fig tree drops its late fig when it's shaken by mighty wind. Then the sky receded as a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. And the kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, the commanders, the mighty men, every slave and every free man hide themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the fate of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to stand? And these things happen when? When? Sixth day. When sixth seal is opened. Sixth seal is opened. So when we look at it more detail here. So when sixth seal is open, sixth seal is opened, right? So when is sealed? When you receive the seal. In order to receive the seal, what needs to be happen? We can go to Ezekiel chapter 9 in Old Testament. Then he called out in my hearing with a loud voice, saying, let those who have a charge over the city draw near, each with a deadly weapon in his hand. Okay? This city is talking about the city of Jerusalem. Okay? City of Jerusalem. And suddenly 6 men came from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with his battle axe in his hand. One man. This one man is 7th man. Okay? So 6 men has what? They have a battle axe in his hand, right? So what is this battle axe for? To kill. To kill. And the 7th man from 6 men was clothed with linen and had a writer's inkhorn at his side. They went in and stood beside the bronze altar. Okay? Bronze altar. So where is the bronze altar? In the tabernacle, right? It's on the court. Okay? So there is a total 7 men, which represent the 7 days, right? And 6 men has the battle axe to kill, and then 1 man, he has what? He clothed with linen and writer's inkhorn, right? Inkhorn. Okay? So this 7th man is what? Mark on the person's forehead, right? Which means mark means seal, tab. We're going to look at later. And then verse 3, now the glory of the God of Israel had gone up from the cherub, where it had been to the threshold of the temple, and he called the man clothed with linen, which is the 7th man, who had the writer's inkhorn at his side. And the Lord said to him, Lord said to the 7th man, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the forehead of the man who sigh and cry over all the abomination that are done within it. Okay? So when you look at the mark, tav, right? Tav. So first word of the Hebrew is aleph, right? Aleph. And then last word of Hebrew alphabet is tav. This one, tav. Okay? So tav is the what? You have the seal on your forehead. In order to receive the seal, what needs to be happen? You have to what? You have to sigh. Okay? And then you have to what? Cry. Cry about sigh what? Abomination that are done within Jerusalem, right? Within Jerusalem. So what is the Jerusalem? What is the meaning of Jerusalem? Peaceful teaching, right? Peaceful teaching. And the 4th day and 5th day, they say they are in peace, right? And they are safety. Why? Because they thought they believed God and they believed Jesus, right? And they don't have a doubt. They saved through the blood of Jesus, right? But these people, they are sigh and cry about their what? Man's teaching, right? Man's teaching. So this Jerusalem is what Jerusalem then? The Jerusalem on the earth or Jerusalem from above? Jerusalem from on the earth, right? Where it say that? Let's go to the Galatians chapter 4. We are coming back to here. It comes down. It comes from the 22. For it is written that Abraham has 2 sons. Okay? So he's talking about the slave and the son, and talking about 2 sons. The one by a bondwoman, and the other by a free woman. But he who was of the bondwoman was born according to the flesh. What is the meaning of flesh? Thought of death, right? Based upon Romans chapter 8. What is the spirit then? Thought of spirit and peace. Peace, right? So he who was of the bondwoman was born according to the flesh. And then he of the free woman through promise. It's not promise, right? Evangelia. Evangelia is, this one is not promise, right? Epi, connected. Angelia, message, connected message. I just mentioned the connected message in the beginning of my preaching, right? Which is 7 days process is what process? Connected message, connected message, connected knowledge. Okay? People who does not understand the Bible as connected message, and then when they look at the Deuteronomy, they understand in this way, right? And when they look at the book of Revelation, they understand another way, right? So it depends on who you read, how you read, or book of Bible, they can understand, every person has a different understanding. Why? Because they are not able to understand the Bible as connected message. My salvation process. That's the connected message. Okay? So he of the free woman through connected message. Which things are symbolic? For these are the two covenants. The one from Mountain Sinai, which gives birth to bondage, which is Hagar. So, regards to talking about the Mountain Sinai, when we go to the chapter 7, verse 38, that means we are all at the Mountain Sinai, received the God's commandment, word of God, through the Moses. And talking about wilderness church, which is what day? Fourth day, right? Fourth day. Which is Hagar. Oh, this Hagar is Mountain Sinai in Arabia, which is the fourth day, and correspondent to what? The Jerusalem, which means fifth day. Fifth day Jerusalem. So this Jerusalem is what? Same as Mountain Sinai. Fourth and fifth day, they are the what? Bondage with her children. So they are still under the what? Guardians and slaves, right? Still slavery status, not sons status. 26, but the Jerusalem above. Jerusalem above. So this Jerusalem is what day? Through the 6th day to become the 7th day, right? Because when we go to the book of Revelation chapter 21, new heaven and new earth, holy city, new Jerusalem. That is the one from above. That means from heaven, right? That is free. So you change your status from slavery status to become the son status, right? Which is the mother of us all. For it is written, rejoice, O barren, you who does not bear. Break forth and shout, you who are not in labor. For the desolate has many more children than she who has a husband. But we, brethren, as Isaac was our children of promise. Then who is Isaac? How Isaac was born? Abraham is not able to having a child, right? On his age, right? What about the Sarah? Sarah also is old, cannot bear the child, right? But Isaac was born through Abraham and Sarah through what? Through the promise, that is, through connected message, right? So Isaac is the symbolic of Christos Jesus. Isaac is the symbol of the resurrection. Because he is not born through the flesh. He was born through the Word of God. Word of God. That's why here it says, Isaac are children of promise, which is children of connected message. But as he who was born according to the flesh then persecuted him, who was born according to the Spirit, even so it is now. Nevertheless, what does the scripture say? Cast out the bondwoman, cast out the Hagar, cast out the Ishmael, right? Cast out the bondwoman, and her son. For the son of bondwoman shall not be heir with the son of the free woman. So then, brethren, we are not children of the bondwoman, but of the free. So what is the status then, fourth and fifth day church? They are still slavery, right? And they are still under the guardians and stewards, right? We're going to find out the role of guardians and stewards. Okay? Guardians and stewards. And then the fifth day is that Jerusalem, who is under the mountain Sinai, corresponding to the Jerusalem. So go back to the Ezekiel chapter 9 again. That's why you need to sigh and cry. Sigh and cry. Sigh and cry about that peaceful teaching. Peaceful teaching. Okay? If you are not sigh and cry, then you are nothing but to kill by what? Those 6 men who has a battle axe in his hand, right? And verse 5, to the others. To the other means those 6 men, right? To the others, he said in my hearing, go after him. Go after 7 men, right? Go after 7th man through the city and kill. Do not let your eyes spare, nor have any pity. Utterly slay old and young men, maidens and little children and women, but do not come near anyone on whom is the mark. And begin at my sanctuary. So they began with the elders who were before the temple. Then he said to them, defile the temple and fill the courts with the slain, go out. And they went out and killed the city. So this is happening where then? Like we just mentioned, the court of the tabernacle, right? You enter the entrance of the tabernacle, and there is a burnt offering, and there is a laver, right? Okay? Then that place is called the court. And then from there, you get into the holy place, and then most holy place. Then who will be qualified to get into the holy place? You have to sigh, you have to cry about that peaceful teaching. Okay? Then, once you sigh and cry, what happened? You are able to having the baby, right? So we go back to Galatians chapter 4 again. Start from 1. Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, does not differ at all from a slave. So, as a fourth step, we start as a slavery status, right? Through the master of war, but is under guardian and steward until the time appointed by the Father. So until the time is until the 5th day, right? So, even so we, when we were children, were in bondage under the elements of the world. Okay? These elements of the world will be burned. We're going to look at when we go to the Peter chapter 3, right? But when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth His Son. His Son. So His Son is the Christos Jesus, right? Which is His Son is the symbol of Isaac, right? Isaac has to be born. Where? Through the Sarah, right? Christos Jesus has to born. From where? From inside me. I as a Maria. Maria means rebellion, right? So Maria means rebellion. Rebellion means, based upon the Ezekiel chapter 9, what is that means? What is a rebellion means? Sigh and cry, right? The abomination, that things happening in the 5th day church, 4th day church, right? So send forth His Son, born of a woman. Then who is this woman then? Myself, Maria, right? He has to be born. The baby child has to be born through who? Within me, through me, in myself, in my flesh, right? Born under the law. What law is this talking about? The law of death, right? Law of death, which is a Moses law, right? To redeem those who were under the law, but we might receive the adoption as sons. So that's why without Christos Jesus is born from inside me, we cannot be adopted as a son, right? Because Christos Jesus Himself is the what? First fruit. Okay? So I was mentioned first fruit means aparke, apo, arke, separate from the beginning, right? We have to also separate from the law of sin and law of death by childbearing, that is Christos Jesus, right? Okay, and we can go to about that is Timothy. And Timothy is talking about that. Timothy 2:15. Nevertheless, she will be saved. Then who is this she? The woman in talking about Galatians, right? Okay. So she will be saved in what? Childbearing. If you are not able to bear the child and born the son, you are not able to be saved, right? She will be saved. How can you saved? Childbearing. Christos Jesus has to be born from me. I as a Maria, right? And then once Christos Jesus is born, I grow up through the knowledge of God, right? And then crucified together, right? Resurrect together, right? Those are the things happening when? End of the darkness, right? Cross. The last day of 6th day is to happen when? Die together, resurrect together. And then we move over to the 7th day. 7th day is the day of I as become the Son of God, children of God. Make sense? So, nevertheless, she will be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith, love, and holiness with self-control. Self-control. So, go back to the Revelation 6:12 again. So he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake. Great earthquake. So the earthquake has to be happen to your faithful life. If this earthquake is not happening, that means you are not still getting to the 6th day. 6th day. About that earthquake, we can go to the Acts chapter 16. Let's go to Acts chapter 16. We can start from 14. So if earthquake doesn't happen, means you are still not on the 6th day, you're still on the 5th day, right? You still say peace and safety, right? And you still under the guardians and stewards, right? You still under the darkness, right? Because you don't have understanding the light, understanding the darkness. That's what it means. Because you don't have an ear to hear the son's voice, right? Son's voice. So now a certain woman named Lydia, hear us, she was a seller of purple from the city of Thyatira, who worshiped God. The Lord opened her heart to hear the things spoken by Paul, Apostle Paul. And when she and her household were baptized, she begged us, saying, so here us is Paul and the Sheila. Okay? Sheila and Paul, they are preaching in this city. If you have judged me to be faithful to the Lord, come to my house and stay. So she persuaded us. Now it happened as we went to prayer that a certain slave girl possessed with the spirit of divination met us, who brought her masters much profit by fortune telling. So there was one, the girl, slave girl. This slave girl, she possessed the spirit of divination. Okay? When you look at the divination, look at the divination. And divination is Python. Python. Have you heard about the snake named Python? And Python is Python. Okay? So which is a big snake. Big snake. And then this Python is the serpent who killed by Apollo in Greek myth. Python. When you go to the chapter 3 in Genesis, the serpent, it translated serpent, right? Serpent, who deceived the Eve, right? The serpent is the Greek, the Hebrew name is Nahashi. Nahashi is the practice the divination. That's what it means. And then they translate serpent. But here, Python, and then they just translate as divination. So this slave girl possessed the spirit of divination, spirit of python, that big snake, okay, and practice the divination, enchantment. And then she bring their much profit, right? Much profit. And they gather a lot of money, right? By fortune telling, right? And then 17, this girl followed Paul and us. So Paul and the Sheila. And then cry out saying, these men are the servants of the Most High God, who proclaim to us the way of salvation. You see, those fortune teller, also those people who possess the demon, they even know Christos Jesus and God, isn't it? They even call, right? So then fifth day and fourth day church member, they say they believe God, right? And they believe Jesus. Without having a distinguished concept, right? Without having realization. Understanding the light, understanding the darkness, right? Which means Jesus, other Jesus, right? Gospel, different gospel. Spirit, Holy Spirit, unclean spirit, right? No discernment. They just say, oh, I believe God. I believe Jesus, right? Same thing. This girl also proclaim what? Proclaim what? The Most of High God, talking to the Paul. Okay? Most of High God and the way of salvation. And 18. And this she did for many days. But Paul greatly annoyed. Because Paul already know what she's saying, right? So, turned and said to the Spirit, I command you in the name of Jesus Christ to come out of her. And he came that very hours. But as you may remember, when we go to the New Testament, the Matthew, you know, the Christos Jesus cast out the demon, right? And the disciple asked the Christos Jesus, why couldn't we do that, right? What did Jesus say? Because of what? Your unbelief. Your unbelief. So, in the eyes of fourth and fifth day, look at the Peter and those apostles who accompany with Christos Jesus. What did they do in order to accompany with Christos Jesus? They throw out their net, isn't it? Right? And then they say bye-bye to their fathers, right? And they left the net, they left the boat. They gave up those things, right? So then they don't have a belief to the Christos Jesus. So in the eyes of fourth and fifth day, they do have a faith, right? But in the eyes of Christos Jesus, to the disciple, they have no belief. And then Christos Jesus say, if you have those seed of the sinape, little seed, right? And then you can command this mountain move from here, from there, right? The Greek word is metabaino, right? Metabaino. Okay? Move this mountain from here to there, right? But why? Because their unbelief. Unbelief. Because they are saying to believe Jesus from their own belief, right? But they wasn't able to possess the Christos Jesus because Christos Jesus himself believed, right? So same things here. Same things here. Okay? So Christos Jesus come out of her, Apostle Paul say that, right? Which means Apostle Paul has the belief of Christos Jesus, right? He's able to do that. Make sense? And then verse 19, but when her masters saw that their hope of profit was gone, they seized Paul and Silas and dragged him into the marketplace to the authority. And they brought them to the magistrate and said, these men being Jews exceedingly trouble our city, and they teach customs which are not lawful for us, being Romans, to receive or observe. Then the multitudes rose up together against them, and the magistrates tore off their cloth and commanded them to be beaten with rods. And when they had laid many stripes on them, they threw them into prison, commanding the jailer to keep them securely. So look at the prison. Prison is what? Pulake. Keep in mind, right? We're going to look at the prison come from different place, okay? Pulake. So they throw them into prison, commanding the jailer to keep them securely. having received such a charge, he put them, who are them? Paul and Silas, right? He put them into the inner prison and fastened their feet in the stocks. But here it says stocks. Actually, stock is giron. Giron is what? Tree. They fastened to the tree. Okay. But at the midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the prisoner were listening to them. Okay. So praying. Look at the praying. Proseuchomai. What is proseuchomai? Euchomai, right? This word used in the Lord's Prayer when you go to the Matthew chapter 6 verse 9, right? So then you pray like this. Pray. Proseuchomai, right? Who can do this pray? Our Father in the heavens, right? That heaven is a plural, wasn't it? So the Father of my living in heavenly living. So whoever become the heavenly living, they are the one who can pray, proseuchomai pray, right? And then singing hymns, right? They are the one who can singing, right? Which means anybody who possessed the faith of Christos Jesus, they are able to pray, proseuchomai pray. Because there is a couple of different words that translate into English pray. One is the proseuchomai, euchomai, desis. There's a couple of Greek words. That's why proseuchomai pray is different from those pray. Okay? And singing hymns to God, and the prisoner were listening to them. Look at that. Listening is what status? Imperfect status, right? Which means they are still hearing. Pray and then singing, right? But full understanding or imperfect understanding? Still imperfect understanding, imperfect hearing, okay? And then 26, suddenly there was a great earthquake. Book of Revelation, we went there, chapter 6. What happened? When 6 seals open, great earthquake is happened, right? So that earthquake happened where? In your head, right? Why? Because when you hear that praying and the singing, which is a new knowledge, right? Heavenly knowledge, right? That comes from the heaven, right? When you hear that, what happened? The belief you have so far, and then the belief that comes from the heaven, there was war is start to break in your heaven, right? That's why when we go to the book of Revelation, there was war in the heaven, right? Michael and his army, and then the serpent's army, right? Dragon army, right? And then they are fighting with each other. That is what? Great earthquake. So if those great earthquake does not happen in your faithful life, then you are not on the 6 days yet. Make sense? Those earthquake has to be happen so that the foundation of the prison was shaken. Prison was shaken. Okay. Based upon the Romans chapter 8, faith comes through what? Hearing, right? Hearing. Faith comes through hearing. And then you believe, right? And then you are able to confess with your mouth, right? And then you will be saved, right? So that's the processing. You hear the voice of God. You hear the seventh-day trumpet from the seventh-day angelos, Michael. Okay? Then your brain start the earthquake. Start to breaking the war in your heaven, in your head. Then you have a perceiving, you have understanding in your head, right? And then that understanding comes down to where? To your heart, right? And then engrave not the stone, engrave onto your heart, right? Tablet of your heart, right? Not tablet of the stone, right? Once it engraved into your heart, what happened? That comes through your mouth. That's why whoever confesses the name of the Lord will be saved. So it starts from your hearing. And then analyze, perceiving, understanding, engraving your heart, and it comes out. Those are the what process? Salvation process. So earthquake is happening. Okay? And then the prison was shaken. And immediately all doors were opened. And everyone's chains were loosed. And then that chain was what? Tied into where? The tree, right? In tree in Hebrew word is et. Et. Tree means counsel, advice. So which means they are tied Paul and Sila into the advice, another advice, right? Another consultant. But they cannot be tied into that tree, isn't it? Okay? Because they have a heavenly knowledge. They cannot, and heavenly knowledge means they are free men, right? So they cannot be tied. So the keeper of the prison awakened from sleep, seeing the prison doors open, supposing the prisoner has fled, drew his sword and was about to kill himself. But Paul called with a loud voice, saying, "Do yourself no harm, for we are all here." Then he called for a light, ran in, and fell down trembling before Paul and Silas. And he brought them out and said, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" So they say, "Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, you will be saved, and you and your household." Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ. So prisoner is open, right? And earthquake and prison is open, right? So that's the process. So your prison, by hearing the praying and singing, okay, and then the prison is open. Prison is open. And then earthquake is happening inside you. Okay? When we go to about that, let's go to the Matthew, more detail, Matthew 24. Okay? Then Jesus went out and departed from the temple. Look at the temple. There's two different temple. One is a hieron temple, which is a neuter noun. The other one is a masculine noun, nous temple. But this one is a hieron temple. Okay? Hieron temple is the court, which is Christos Jesus, make it clean, right? With his strip, and then he what? Turn over the table, right? And then don't make our temple of God, make those kind of selling and buying places, right? So that's the not nous temple, that's the hieron temple. Okay? Nous is Christos Jesus, he's talking about nous is his body. His body is the nous. So my body is the temple of God. That's the nous temple. Okay? So that temple we are talking, okay? Jesus went out and departed from the temple. His disciple came up to show him who built the building of the temple. And Jesus said to them, "Do you not see all these things? Assuredly I say to you, no one stone shall be left here upon another, then shall not be thrown down." Why this temple is not thrown down? Why? Because stone is connected stone. But here only say one stone, right? When you look at the Greek word, litos epi liton. Stone upon another stone, right? Not another. Litos is a stone. Stone on stone. Stone on stone. So when stone, this is the stone, and then this stone, epi means what? Connection, right? Connecting. So when stone connect with each other, then is it destroyed or cannot be destroyed? It's not destroyed, right? Mm-hmm. Not fall down, right? Not be thrown down, right? Okay. So in order to be thrown down, this stone has to be untied, right? Break the relationship, right? That break the relationship is what? Great earthquake. So this stone is who? Guardians and stewards, right? Fourth and fifth day church pastor, elder, those leader, they will not release their members. One member out, what happened? You have less profit, isn't it? Because those girls who do the divination, that slave girl, do the divination and then what? Profit to their master, isn't it? Same thing. Okay? So it will not happen. It will not happen. Okay? So that's what Christus Jesus said. Those fourth and fifth day Jerusalem teaching, peaceful teaching, they will want you to depart from the teaching, right? They want you to follow the teaching. They want you to live as the slavery status forever, right? But what it says when we go to the John chapter 10, the sheep is not forever sheep, right? Sheep is the one who become the shepherd. Which talking about bondwoman status change to become the free woman. Slavery is the candidate to become the son. You cannot live forever for slavery. But why can't you just live as a slavery? Because of this stone. This stone does not allow you to untie from him. And then now he said on the mountain of Olives, the disciple came to him privately saying, tell us, when will these things be? Then what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? So here talking about the day of the Lord, right? The day of the Lord. Okay? The sign of his presence, his coming, which is the seventh day coming to the sixth day, what things will happen? Because the stone with the stone is tied on the fifth day, how can it can be unreleased? It can be released. That's what the question, right? And then when we coming down, and you will hear of wars and rumors of wars, right? See that you are not troubled, for all those things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So when earthquake happen, it's just the beginning, right? And war is happening, it's just beginning, right? Mm-hmm. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famine, pestilences, earthquakes in various places, right? Earthquake has to be happen. And all these are the beginning of sorrows, right? Sigh, cry, abomination of Jerusalem, right? So only those people will be sealed and then open up the sixth seal and seventh seal to become the Son of God, right? So that's why then who keep this prison? We can find out. We can go to Luke chapter 2 verse 8. We start from the 6. So it was that while they were there, and talking about the born of Christus Jesus, the days were completed for her to be delivered. Here, her is the Maria. And Maria brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling cloth, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. Now there were in the same country shepherds living out in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. Look at there here. Here says the shepherd living out in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night, right? Look at here. Philasso, keeping, right? Philasso, keeping. Philakos. I said, keep in mind this word. Philake is what? Prison. It's not watch. Okay? Totally wrong translation. So then, who keep prison living? Who? Poimen living. Shepherd. Shepherd keep prison. Prison of the tes nuktos. Prison of the night. Prison of the night. So prison belong to day or prison belong to night? Night. So prison is what? Laila. Laila is prison. Okay? The Laila. Prison is rolled out like a scroll. Has to be rolled out, right? Prison. That's why Paul and Sila is not able to stay in the prison, right? They are praying, they are singing, right? And then prison is opened, right? They cannot keep him at the prison. But these shepherds, they keep who? Epiten poimen. His flock. Which is what? We just saw that Matthew 24. Stone upon stone, right? Shepherd Epi. Shepherd, not over, right? Epi is on. Shepherd on flock. Okay? Shepherd on poimen, sheep. His sheep. And they keep where? Prison of night. Prison of night. So this prison has to be open. But guardians and stewards. When we go to the Matthew chapter 23, the Pharisee scribes, they are sitting the way? They are sitting in where? In the seat of Moses, right? In the seat of Moses. So same thing. Okay? This shepherd keeping their sheep, prison of night. Prison of night. Go to the Matthew 23 that I just mentioned. Jesus spoke to the multitude and to his disciples, saying the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses seat. They are teaching. And they bind heavy burdens, hard to bear, and lay them on men's shoulder, but they themselves will not move them with one of their finger, right? And then when we keep coming down, they are the one called the Father who's on the earth, right? Okay? And then when we coming down, but woe to you scribes and Pharisees who is sitting in the Moses seat, hypocrites, you shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, for you neither go in yourself, nor do you allow those who are entering to go in, right? Okay? And woe to you scribes and Pharisees, hypocrite, you travel land and sea to win one proselyte, and when he is won, you make him twice as much as son of hell as yourself, right? And they are the what? Blind guys, right? Guardians and stewards, right? Who are keeping the prison of the night. Stone on stone, never throw down, right? Not there, they want you to be released, right? Okay? That's why when we go to the Isaiah chapter 42, it starts from the, behold my servant, whom I uphold, my elect one, in whom my soul delight. I have put my spirit upon him. He will bring forth justice to the Gentile. Okay? Talking about seventh day, Christos Jesus and Son of the Man. When we coming down to sevens, to open blind eyes, right? To bring out prisoners from the prison. The prison is what? Prison of the night. By providing the light. Christos Jesus himself, the true light. So to open blind eyes. Who make you blind? Guardians and stewards. Who make you blind? Pharisee, scribes, right? They are not only blindness, they make their people blindness, isn't it? So to open blind eyes, to bring out prisoners from the prison, those who sit in darkness, from the prison house. Prison house. So until the fifth day, you are in the prison. You are in the prison. Okay? So we need to bring out prisoner from the prison. The Son of the Man, the Son of God, will bring out those prisoners from the prison. How? By praying, by singing, right? Also, when we go to the Isaiah 58, by fasting. Let's go there too. This is 42. When we go to the 58, verse 6. Is this not the fast that I have chosen? The Jehovah's choose fasting to loose the bond of wickedness, to undo the heavy burden. Who give you heavy burden? Pharisee scribes, right? Guardians and stewards. Fourth and fifth day church leaders, right? To undo heavy burden, to let them oppressed go free. And then you break every yoke. So, lose the bond of wickedness because they are in the prison, right? Mm-hmm. That's the fasting. You seek twice food from the heavenly manna, and seventh day, you give then knowledge of God. That's the fasting time, seventh day, right? So, Son of the Man is the one who's fasting, right? Who's fasting. Okay? That's why we go back to that 24, Matthew. We keep coming down, 43. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your Lord is coming. But know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Therefore, you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. The Son of Man is coming. He is the one to open up the prison, right? He is the one to bring you out of the prison, right? Okay. So we go back to the Revelation 6 again. So those sun, moons, and stars, they all become, they all falling down, right? Falling down. And then sky recede as a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out its place. About the suns and moon stars, we can find out from Isaiah 60:19. Isaiah 60:19. The sun shall no longer be your light by day, nor for brightness shall be the moon give light to you, but the Lord will be to you an everlasting light, and your God, your glory. Your sun shall no longer go down, nor shall your moon withdraw itself, for the Lord will be your everlasting light, and the days of your mourning shall be ended, right? Because sixth seal open up. You have a full understanding about the light. And you are not in the prison anymore. So night is gone, right? Let's go to the Joel 2:30. And I will show wonders in the heaven and in the earth, blood of fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the coming of the great and awesome day of the Lord. And it shall come to pass that whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. For in the mountain Zion and in Jerusalem there shall be deliverance, as the Lord has said, among the remnant whom the Lord calls. So, all connected message, right? All talking about the day of the Lord, which is the seventh day coming to the sixth day and open up the seals, right? And then fifth day, who is in the prison and open up the door of the prison, let them move up to the sixth day, right? Then who can be a candidate who can move from the fifth day to the sixth day? Sigh and cry, right? The abomination in the fifth day Jerusalem, right? So when the day of the Lord comes, 2 Peter 3:10, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens will pass away with a great noise, and the elements will melt. Elements, we know the fundamental principle, right? Which is a fundamental principle of the world that given by guardians and stewards. Okay? The elements will melt with fervent heat. Both the earth and the works that are in it will be burned up. Therefore, since all these things will be dissolved, one manner a person ought to be in holy conduct and godliness, looking for hastening the coming of the day of God, because of which the heavens will be dissolved, being on the fire, and the elements will melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, not promise, right? Connected message. Look for new heaven and new earth in which righteousness dwell. Therefore, beloved, looking forward to these things, be diligent to be founded by him in peace, without spot and blameless. So until that times come, you need to keep cry and sigh, right? Do not stop to growing process, right? You just say peace and safety. And then what happened? Sudden destruction is coming. The day of the Lord is come. And that's the night process. Okay? Night process. So night start to roll out like a scroll on what day? The sixth day, right? And then this night and this heaven is the true heaven or fake heaven. The fake heaven, right? The fake heaven covered the what? Covered the earth, right? And then when you have a full understanding between the light and between the darkness, this heaven will be rolled out, right? Rolled out. Only the light, true light, will shining upon the earth into my heart, right? Mm-hmm. So this night is acting like a day, right? This night acting like a day. This night acting like a light. Make sense? So when 6 days come, we have a full discernment. We have a full discernment. Okay, from next week, we are going to study, keep going about day and night.